On the eve of his inauguration, President-elect Donald Trump staged a campaign-style rally in frigid Washington at Capital One Arena, where he and his supporters celebrated his win. During his speech, Trump touched on various topics, including the Middle East ceasefire, TikTok, and his Day One actions as the president. Here's a report ahead.
As of today, TikTok is back.
TikTok's comeback is the result of behind-the-scenes negotiations between Team Trump and the Chinese tech giant ByteDance, which owns the app. Earlier, TikTok confirmed that it was in the process of restoring service for its US users following a weekend of uncertainty. This all began after President-elect Trump made it clear he wanted to keep the app available to millions of Americans despite national security concerns regarding TikTok's data collection practices. While TikTok has not yet been made available for download, the company is working with service providers to restore full functionality across the platform. In a statement, TikTok expressed gratitude to President-elect Trump for his efforts to ensure the platform remains active, but did not address Trump's call for part American ownership of the app. This development comes amid escalating tensions between the US and China. Earlier this week, the Chinese embassy in Washington accused the US government of using unfair state power to suppress TikTok, while also pledging to protect Chinese interests. For years, President Trump has raised concerns about TikTok's parent company ByteDance, but Trump's opinion has shifted in recent months. In the 2024 election, he praised the app for helping him connect with younger voters, even admitting he has a warm spot for the platform.
We'll take a look at TikTok. I have a warm spot in my heart for TikTok because I won youth by 34 points. And there are those that say that TikTok has something to do with that. Now, Joe Rogan did, and some of the other people that were recommended by my son Barron, he knew names. I said, "Who is that? Tell me, who's that? Dad, you gotta be kidding. I can't believe you don't know." And I did those interviews, and it was actually sort of cute, if you want to know the truth. But we did them, and that had an impact. But TikTok had an impact, and so we're taking a look at it.
Although the future of TikTok in the United States remains uncertain, with talks of a potential sale still looming. In 2020, the Trump administration pushed for a deal where American companies like Oracle and Walmart would acquire stakes in the app. Aarti Rana's report for DD India.
All right, for more on this, we're now joined in by our correspondent Shubhendu Ghosh. Shubhendu, good morning. Now, Donald Trump gave his victory speech on the eve of his inauguration. To what extent does it set the tone ahead for his presidency as the 47th president of the country? Very quickly, for the benefit of our viewers, get us the most important takeaways from his victory speech.
That's right, Preeti. Good morning. It not only sets the tone for his upcoming presidency, but it already marks the thing that, according to him, he's already done. TikTok, for example, in a matter of few hours that it disappeared from the mobiles of Americans, it came back, given the assurance by Donald Trump. Of course, it is not a final solution. Other than that, in his speech, Donald Trump once again highlighted one of the key priority points of his election campaign, and now that he's going to be the president, his agenda items about stopping illegal immigration. According to him, Day One would mark the border closure for any illegal immigrant trying to enter the United States. Also, deporting 11 million illegal immigrants in America is one of the priorities. How it will come about is something, the details we're not aware of at the moment. Will there be a third country involved? Those details are also being negotiated at the moment, but that is one of the most important points in his larger vision of making America great again. Then there is, of course, economy. He also, right at the beginning of his speech, talks about the liquid gold underneath, referring to fossil fuels. So that again marks, in a way, America's return to the era of fossil fuels. There might be cut in climate regulations that we saw in his predecessor, the President Biden's regime, and return in many ways to fracking in fossil fuels. Those were some of the highlights. Of course, Day One in a few hours, tonight, India time, 10:30, p.m. It would be noon in Washington, D.C. is when he takes oath as the 47th president. Experts, sources inform that some 100 to 200 executive orders, which are in fact something that the president has the power to direct, such orders are lined up. So immediately after he takes oath, we'll have more insight into what's to come on day one.
All right, so we'll have to wait and watch for him to take oath of office. But then, Shubhendu, help us understand, how is this presidency of Trump different from his earlier stint? He faces two conflicts. Added to that, domestic issues, also how the geopolitical situation in the world has changed. Put the two presidencies together, I would want you to explain to us the challenges ahead for his presidency. How is this stint going to be different?
Absolutely. Let's look at your question from two perspectives. One, from the perspective of Donald Trump. This time, Donald Trump 2.0, is going to be an experienced leader. He's already been a president for one term. He lost the election after that and comes back in power. So in that sense, he has now the experience of what it means to lead the most powerful country in the world, what it means to be the leader sitting in the White House and taking decisions. He's also identified his key allies and opponents even within the close circles. So we also see the kind of team that he has put in place is very different from what we had seen in Trump 1.0, when he was, in a way, a sort of new leader walking into the power corridors of the United States. If we look at geopolitics, when Trump became president for the first time, there were no major conflicts in play. But here we see the Gaza conflict, which just a day before could work towards a ceasefire, in which Donald Trump and his negotiators had a key role to play. There is Russia-Ukraine conflict that is raging on. Remember, America has made great investments into both these conflicts, both in terms of money and military and equipment. Donald Trump would want to focus on the domestic agenda. That is the agenda with which he had won the election, talking about making America great again, making it more prosperous for ordinary Americans. So in that sense, the resources going out, he would want to direct them inside. So in that sense, those priorities would in a way shape Trump 2.0, especially what he does in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. He's already sent feelers that America wants this conflict to come to an end with a fair negotiation for both sides, Russia and Ukraine. In Gaza, we saw an impossible ceasefire coming into play. It is likely to sustain, given that day one went well. So in that sense, Donald Trump meets global conflicts in his second term immediately, and his domestic priorities, huge economic ambitions, so tariffs, global conflicts, and focusing on his key strengths are going to be the highlights of his term two.
Shubhendu, now these were the challenges of Donald Trump's term two. When we talk of the global challenges back home domestically, what is it that awaits Donald Trump? We've got domestic issues, the economy is there. We've got domestic issues of gun violence, domestic issue of abortion. Put all this together. You covered the U.S. elections. When you look back at what were the expectations of the people, and now when Donald Trump readies to take over the reins, how do you see it?
Well, to look at all the three themes that you mentioned, economy, abortion, and gun violence, in many ways, the results of the American elections also gave us some insight into the manner in which the American people have been thinking. By and large, we know Donald Trump's position on the issue of abortion. It is not a liberal position. As far as the position of gun violence is concerned, in many ways, and perhaps unfortunately, did not even feature as an important issue in the US elections. Economy is going to be hugely important. The cost of living crisis, something that experts say led to the defeat of the Biden administration. They could not gauge the degree to which ordinary American, middle-class American were facing the brunt of economic challenges, is something that is going to be a priority for Donald Trump. At home, tax cuts so that more businesses and entrepreneurs could thrive, and outside, putting tariff on countries so that American businesses, make in America, American people getting jobs is going to be a highlight. So in that sense, on the economy front, Preeti, the focus on easing the burden of cost of living is going to be an important challenge for Donald Trump to meet. The manner in which he achieves that is also going to be important for us to look out.
Yes, all right. So how does Donald Trump 2.0, look like for India? Get us more as to how do we see the relationship move on between the US and India from here on, as we see Donald Trump take change of the guard there?
Well, that's an interesting question, Preeti. Frankly, whether one is a supporter or opponent of Donald Trump as a leader, one would have to understand that he's one leader who's difficult to predict. But coming to India-US relations, we know that it has gone from strength to strength. India enjoys good support from both sides. From as far as Republican Democrats are concerned, there's a bipartisan support that India enjoys. So irrespective of which leader takes office, relations with India is an important priority for United States. We know that the strategic partnership, especially in a critical area like Indo-Pacific, has gone from strength to strength, and both the leadership of the Republicans and the Democrats have contributed in taking that relationship forward. There is, of course, economic partnership as well, which is significant, but there are some flags, some issues that needed to be sorted out, especially of immigration and H-1B visa. There are many talented Indians, professionals who go to America to give their services, especially, for example, in the area of IT. Now, Donald Trump's larger vision, in an ideal Trump vision, the Americans would be leading all the jobs in America. They would be given the first preference as far as jobs are concerned. But in a globalized world, that is a different difficult sort of a narrative to put forth. There are many Indians who are today contributing to, in fact, what Donald Trump wants to make America great again, to its economy. So in that sense, what will be the true outcome? What is the direction in which the negotiations will lead to? These are some areas which need to be ironed out. But in a macro way, in the larger context, India-US partnership is a critical one. Both nations understand that. The particular issues of immigration needed to be sorted out, but an important milestone and road ahead for India and America under Donald Trump 2.0 as well.
All right, Shubhendu, we leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those details.